6, 7, 8 until I reach the hill.
뭐야?
헐, 대박. 멤버분들 어떠셨어요?
너무 좋아요.
나이스.
와, 대박.
클로즈 유어 아이즈 하실 생각 있으세요?
들어오세요. 캐스팅할게요. 들어오실게요.
오케이.
아, 좋아. 오, okay. Well, I mean, that was amazing. But before we wrap things up, do you have any last messages you want to say to Close Your Eyes?
I love you.
Thank you.
That's so sweet. Thank you so much. You're so sweet. 네, 라라님 다시 한번 감사드리고요. 오늘 Close Your Eyes 분들과 함께한 Simply K-pop SNS 시간이 정말 빨리 간 것 같아요, 태나 씨. 아, 맞아요. 너무 빨리 갔습니다. 우리 한번 Close Your Eyes 분들의 소감도 한번 들어보고 될까요? 좋습니다. 혹시 한 분만 소감 들어볼 수 있을까요?
너무 편안한 분위기에서 팬분들과 즐거운 시간을 보낸 것 같아서 재밌었고요. 또 불러주시면 더 귀여운 애교로 돌아오겠습니다.
아, 이거 밈될 것 같은데.
네, 오늘 저희는 퇴근해서 팀회의 한번 하고 다음에도 또 불러주세요. 감사합니다.
좋습니다. 좋습니다. Simply K-pop SNS. See you next time.
See you next time. Bye bye.
하루가 온통 너로만 채워져 널 보고 있어도 보고 싶어도 아무런 계획 없이도 어디든가 세상에는 오직 둘 하늘은 핑크빛으로 물들고 다 완벽해 girl 왼손엔 네 손깍지 반대쪽 오른손엔 버블티 매일 걷는 이 길거리 날아갈 때 신발길이 가볍지 끝없이 꼬리를 무는 얘기 변해도 여전한 떨림 어제 평범한 일상이 특별해지지 when you're next to me 왼손엔 마주 잡은 손깍지 반대쪽 오른손에 버블티에 잘자 네 폰에 뜨는 메시지 아침부터 입이 귀에 걸리는 게 웃기지 나의 best friend 내 옆에 네 자리 그 눈빛 사랑 가득한 텔레파시 들뜬 기분 마주친 너게 Just me and you and I can't wait girl 왼손에 네 손깍지 반대쪽 오른손엔 버블티 발길이 가볍지 끝없이 꼬리를 무는 얘기 변했던 여전한 떨림 어제 평범한 일상이 특별해지지 when you're next to me 모든 게 설레 익숙해질 때도 됐는데 너만 보면 내 심장은 왜 터질 듯한지 매일이 완벽해 옆에 인생이 있어줬음에 너의 존재 날 나답게 내 soulmate 넌 왼손엔 네 손깍지 반대쪽 오른손엔 버블티 매일 걷는 이 길거리 날아갈 듯이 발길이 가볍지 끝없이 꼬리를 무는 얘기 변해도 여전한 떨림 어제 평범한 일상이 특별해지지 when you're next to me 왼손에 마주 잡은 손깍지 반대쪽 오른손엔 버블티 오늘 날씨만 겨우 써놓고 뱉는 숨 빙빙 돌려도 네가 없는 건 한 줄뿐 까오펜이 허공에다 널 쓰지 작은 방이 비밀로 가득 찬 느낌 빨라지는 헐빛 도망치듯 질끈감은 눈 네 이름을 지우고 친구라고 쓴 건 거짓말 작은 글씨로 몰래 적어본 I love you 저 멀리 별빛은 내게 이르는 상 않았어 한 번도 바란 적 없지 둘이서 추는 춤 오늘도 내가 날 속이는 거짓말 You 달까지 잠에 들고 나면 일장 속에 내가 물어 하고픈 말이 완전히 티나나면서 점 빼는 순간 아직 전화기엔 서툰 감정들이 커지지 자꾸 이렇게 흘러가다 결국 Wait 네 이름을 지우고 친구라고 쓴 건 거짓말 작은 글씨로 몰래 적어본 I love you 저 멀리 별빛은 내게 이르는 상상 중 점점 작아지는 마음에 얼른 깨는 꿈 오늘도 내가 날 속이는 거짓말 You 너희대로 깜빡 잠에 들면 쓰고 또 지우던 네 이름으로 꼭 불러볼래 너 이름을 지우고 친구라고 쓴 건 거짓말 작은 글씨로 몰래 적어본 I love you 저 멀리 별빛은 내게 이르는 상상 중 점점 작아지는 마음에 얼른 깨는 꿈 오늘도 내가 날 속이는 거짓말 모든 게 예쁘단 생각은 전혀 안 했어 너에 대한 모든 게 궁금하지 않았어 한 번도 바란 적 없지 둘이서 추는 춤 오늘도 내가 날 속이는 거짓말 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 사실 난 좋아해 옆에다 쓰고픈 한 글자 You
안녕하세요. Riding on the Korean Wave. Welcome to Friday's edition of The Culture Wave. I'm Kwon So-ah in Seoul. Explore with us Korea's culture from all aspects and stay up to date with K-entertainment, K-initiatives, K-film, K-everything. And joining me on this Friday is our co-host Bella Kim. Hello, Bella.
Hi, Soa. Happy Friday, Soa.
Happy Friday.
And happy Friday to everyone joining us today on the Culture Wave. I'm Bella, here to co-host and fill you guys in with some exciting key entertainment news.
And we're also joined by Arirang's news features reporter Byun Ye-young. Welcome, Ye-young.
Hi, Yeyoung.
Hello, Soa. Hello, Bella. And a big happy Friday to our viewers. I'm Byun Ye-young, a news features reporter here at Arirang News.
So, Ye-young, today you're going to bring us an initiative focused on children at the center of city planning. What is that about?
That's right. So, as you all know, Korea is dealing with record low birth rates, and many districts are now rethinking how to make their communities places where children can actually thrive. And one approach that's gaining renewed attention is UNICEF's Child-Friendly Cities initiative.
I've actually heard of the concept before, but I feel like many people still don't know whether their city is certified or what it really means in practice. So what is it?
Exactly. So I decided to take a visit to Korea's very first child-friendly city, which is Seongbuk-gu district in Seoul, to see what the model looks like on the ground and also to listen to what those actively participating in the initiative had to say about it.
And I guess it goes far beyond just playgrounds and parks and so on?
Yes, it does. It's about governance, participation, and creating communities where children's voices are genuinely heard. So let's take a look together. A city where children are not only protected, but also heard, respected, and actively involved in shaping their communities. Under UNICEF guidelines, cities must show sustained progress in child participation in decisions that affect them, safety, access to culture and play, and child rights-based governance before receiving official child-friendly city certification. Over the past decade, South Korea's first child-friendly city, Seongbuk-gu, has expanded its youth councils, strengthened child participation and budgeting, and opened new child-centered community spaces. One of those spaces is the Seongbuk Youth Center, where young people gather to debate issues, draft proposals, and develop practical civic projects.
There are already many educational programs for children in Seongbuk-gu, but I think it's even more meaningful when children themselves can propose the kinds of education they feel they need.
Because places like the Youth Culture Center provide a safe environment with instructors and support for a variety of activities, I can really feel that Seongbuk-gu district respects and supports children in a meaningful way.
Here, children also learn confidence, communication skills, and the sense that their opinions matter.
The different experiences and encouragement they receive here will eventually become valuable resources in their lives when they need them. And importantly, they are no longer seen simply as beneficiaries in need of help, but as key members of the community who live and grow alongside us. And that's the foundation of creating a truly child-friendly culture.
UNICEF says the true measure of a child-friendly city lies in rights-based governance that treats children as full citizens, a priority made even more urgent by Korea's low birth rate.
Given the era of extremely low birth rates, creating child-friendly cities carries significance not only for advancing children's rights, but also as a key strategy for ensuring the long-term sustainability of our society and our country.
With more municipalities joining the initiative, South Korea aims to raise children on a foundation of respect and build communities where their voices are genuinely heard.
What a heartwarming and meaningful initiative. But Ye-young, what are some things that Korean municipalities should prioritize going forward?
So, according to a UNICEF official I spoke with, central government support is actually very essential to strengthening this nationwide. Child-friendly cities require long-term commitment, resources, and legal backing. So if Korea wants to ensure universal child rights, it really needs this kind of national-level support and systems behind it.
What about the children themselves? Because I'm sure their opinion mattered the most. So how do they see this?
That's actually a great question. Let's hear directly from one of the students who also happens to be the chair of the Seongbuk Youth Council.
I think a child-friendly city is one where children can make their own choices and actively participate. We do have activities like our youth council, but only a small number of students get to experience that. To strengthen participation rights, I think we need more education and programs in familiar places like schools so that many more children can be involved.
Spoken like a true council chair. But Ye-young, I heard that there are also international models that we can learn from or benchmark.
Yes, this is actually something that I also discussed with the UNICEF official I spoke with. According to her, in countries including Iceland, the national government and UNICEF run the child-friendly city systems together, making it part of national child rights policy with national funding or legal support. And that's why UNICEF Korea has recently been working with the National Assembly and ministries to introduce that idea that Korea, like other countries, should adopt a shared model where the government and UNICEF partner together to support local child-friendly cities. So the hope is that this will lead to stronger, more consistent policies and ultimately better environments for all children across the country.
All right, thank you very much for that meaningful coverage, Ye-young, which especially opened the eyes to the fact that children are key members of the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ye-young. And thank you for having me.
Time for some K-entertainment news with Bella Kim. Bella, today we will start off with some news that you might need a tissue for.
Yes, I might need a little tissue for this. One of my favorite Korean star, Kim Woo-bin, is getting married. And it's, of course, tears of joy for him as a big fan of his. And I'm very, very happy for him and his girlfriend, Shin Min-a, as they will tie the knot next month. This news comes a decade after they began dating. And their agency, AM Entertainment, announced on Thursday that the couple promised to become lifelong partners based on the deep trust they built through their long relationship. And the wedding will be held privately on December 20th in Seoul. The couple first met in early 2015 during a commercial shoot and acknowledged their relationship later that year. Shin Min-a stood by Kim Woo-bin while he was battling with nasopharyngeal cancer for nearly 3 years, beginning in 2017. And I will now happily send him off.
Congratulations to the beautiful couple. And Bella, we have some great news for BTS fans.
That's right. BTS member Jin's concert film Run Seokjin EP Tour, the movie, will head to theaters at the end of this year. The main poster for the film was posted on BTS official social media, announcing the film's release. The concert film captures the live performance of Run Seokjin EP Tour in Goyang, held from June 28th to 29th, and it features a variety of performances, including Jin's solo tracks, of course, and a BTS medley as well. And it will also include behind-the-scene moments like footage of him backstage and doing interviews. Run Seokjin EP Tour, the movie, is scheduled to premiere in about 1,800 theaters across 70 countries and regions worldwide. And in Korea, it will open exclusively as CGV on December 31st.
Well, concept films are definitely in trend.
Yes.
And another movie is coming up.
That's right. Actor Heo Sung-tae, well known for playing villains, particularly in Squid Game Season 1, makes a dramatic and hilarious shift in his first leading film, The Informant, or 정보원 in Korean. The new film follows Oh Nam-hyuk, a former ace detective who lost his passion, willpower, and investigative instincts after being demoted, and Jo Tae-bong, an informant who makes money by providing information on major cases as they get entangled in a big scheme. The film already generated buzz as it was selected as the opening film for the 24th New York Asian Film Festival in July. The Informant will premiere in theaters on December 3rd.
Can't wait for that. Thank you very much, Bella, for those updates.
Yes.
And now let's go over to our AI anchor, Arirang, for more on the culture front. Arirang?
Hello and welcome to your AI guide to the latest cultural updates from Korea. Here's our top story. The Korea Heritage Service has once again urged the Seoul city government to conduct a thorough impact assessment before it forges ahead with its high-rise development plan across Jongmyo. It reiterated that fully preserving Jongmyo, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, is both an international obligation and a historical duty. The agency's Cultural Heritage Committee issued a statement Thursday, stipulating that UNESCO clearly recommended limiting high-rise developments that could harm its landscape when inscribing Jongmyo as a World Heritage Site in 1995. The committee emphasized that the views from Jongmyo are a key part of its heritage value, and Seoul City should adhere to UNESCO's guidance. The Korea Tourism Organization is launching 15 new K-culture-themed travel products for independent foreign travelers. Among the tour programs selected through a public contest, one standout is the Sinsadong Ghost Tour, a unique walking tour that allows visitors to explore Korea's occult and shamanic culture, an area that has drawn heightened interest thanks to Korean films like K-pop Demon Hunters and Exhuma. The lineup also features diverse immersive experiences such as the Busan Fishing Village Tour, offering local food tastings and visits to Haenyeo, or female diver communities, as well as a one-day Gayagum class showcasing Korea's traditional string instrument. The Jeju southernmost Yellowtail Festival has kicked off in Seongbuk-gu City on Jeju Island. Yellowtail fish is a beloved winter delicacy across Korea, prized for its rich flavor and plump texture. Running through Sunday, the festival offers visitors a chance to sample yellowtail caught in Jeju's pristine waters and experience the island's unique maritime culture. Programs include barehand yellowtail catching, yellowtail fishing, and interactive activities showcasing Jeju's Haenyeo culture. That's all from me. Stay tuned to the Culture Wave.
Film collaborations between Korean and Southeast Asian countries have been gaining momentum recently. Southeast Asia has long been a region where many Korean film remakes were produced. Now, this trend is expanding beyond remakes to include cooperation with Korea from the planning to production stages. We'll discuss the significance of this shift with Jae So, professor and filmmaker at Seoul Institute of the Arts. Welcome back, Professor So.
Nice to be back.
All right, so let's talk about the recent Korean-Vietnamese co-production film Leaving Mom. In Korean, it's 엄마를 버리러 갑니다. And it has achieved significant box office success in Vietnam. And how has the response been in Korea so far? And also, what kind of movie is this and why is it receiving this attention?
Well, in Korea, it's gotten critical acclaim, but it hasn't really done that well as much as Vietnam in the box office. But in Vietnam, it's considered like one of the highest grossing movies. I think the first day of its release, they made so much money, it made back the production costs of the movie.
Wow.
But as you mentioned, it's over 2 million, audience members. And it's a story about a street barber played by Jung Il-woo, who is I guess a half Korean, half Vietnamese. His mother has Alzheimer's. And so basically it's a story about his struggles to try to take care of her, and then she's always wanting to go back to Korea, so he takes her back to Korea and basically wants to leave her with a half-brother that he's never met. So that's kind of a sad, real story. Basically, I think it's about two nations like Korea and Vietnam, which have a past from like the U.S.-Vietnam War and things like that. But I think what's interesting about the movie is that it's a co-production that they've been working on for 3 years. It's directed by Mo Hong-jin, and it's his debut feature that he wrote a screenplay for. And it has a Korean actor and also a lot of Vietnamese actors, Duong Chun and then Hong Da, who plays the mother. And so what people have been really amazed by is just, basically you're starting out of Vietnam, so you get that milieu, and then you go to Korea. And I think it's just the sort of the heartfelt story about, loss of family, also generational sort of pain. And so I think the acting and just the fact that it's kind of new to have these two cultures happening in one story, and it was developed together. It wasn't like one company wanting to do it, but it was a co-production from the beginning of the production.
Right, I found it interesting that it's not just a co-production, but really that the story itself involves both countries and the setting itself as well.
I just watched the trailer, and just by watching the trailer, it's like I was tearing up.
It made you cry again, just like moving,
yes.
getting married.
So if I'm going to go watch it in the theaters, I have to make sure to bring a box of tissues for sure. And another Korea-Vietnam co-production is a movie that I actually covered last week in K-Enter. It's Love Barista starring Lee Kwang-soo. And what I really love about it is I watched the trailer and I can really see his real characteristic in the film. So I'm really interested to see how different he is in real life and in the film as well. So what kind of film is this and what kind of response can we expect from the viewers?
Well, it just opened on the 19th, so you know the scores aren't that great on it, but it's directed by director Kim Sung-hoon, who did a Confidential Assignment, which is a big box office hit. And the previous movie he did was Killing Romance in 2023. It was also a romantic comedy. So this one's about, you know, Lee Kwang-soo plays sort of a star that he's worried about his career, and he goes to Vietnam. Of course, like he loses his way there, and then they meet up with a local Vietnamese girl, and you have the kind of typical romance happening there. So I think what's interesting about the movie is basically the depiction of Ho Chi Minh City in the movie. So it's kind of unusual that you have a Korean person that's kind of famous. I think he's famous or maybe infamous in Korea, but I think in the movie it kind of works with his character. And I heard that Lee Kwang-soo really liked playing this role because he really understood what it's like to be sort of in that position where you're a famous star, you go to a foreign country, nobody knows you. So that sort of irony happening. And also Hwang Ha, who plays the love interest, is just amazing as an actress. I happened to see this in a festival, and basically I thought the movie was really refreshing. And the director is somebody that actually worked at the broadcast stations doing dramas. So it has that kind of drama style romantic comedy, which nowadays it's really hard to find. So I really like the movie, and I hope a lot of people go see, this movie for sure.
I'll put that on my to-watch list. And now Southeast Asia has actually always been a vibrant market for K-content consumption. Now recently it's rapidly expanding into full-fledged collaborations with Korea, so from planning to production. So why are we seeing this strong momentum right now?
Well, I think it's a momentum that's all over the world, not just in Southeast Asia, because of Parasite, Squid Game, K-pop Demon Hunters. As you know, the Hallyu, the Korean wave is now, it's been actually in much more receptive in Southeast Asia and Asia in general than it did, across to the West. But I think that's definitely an influence. And also government policies. We have ASEAN where members, nations like Vietnam and in Thailand, Philippines, we're all part of the same sort of collaborations where we could do co-productions where there's a lot of sort of rules or laws that are relaxed towards film production and also doing co-work. So I think I see this as a very healthy thing because I think, although it's really cool to have a hit across the world globally, I always think our best friends are around us, including East Asia, north of us, China as well. So I think Southeast Asia is definitely like a fertile market, huge population, lots of people that love Korean content. So I see more collaborations between a lot of countries in Southeast Asia for sure.
And another genre that we see as a collaboration is horror and thriller projects with Thailand and Vietnam as well. So how do you anticipate this kind of fusion with K-horror?
Well, when you mention horror films, if you look at Netflix, there's a whole section on Southeast Asian horror. So it's mostly Thai and Vietnamese horror. But what's kind of cool about these movies are usually it's about ghosts. It's about sort of taboo subjects. It's about sort of the rural and urban myths that happen in Southeast Asia, and they're really scary. I don't know if you've seen these movies. Like in Vietnam, there's a movie called The Corpse and Ancestral House, and then there's a movie in 2007 that was called Moi, I guess the Portrait, and this was kind of one of the first Korean co-productions. And in Vietnam, we have Ghosts and Shudder, Nan Nak, Pimak, and also another Korean co-production called The Medium that came out as well. So these countries are very rich in the tradition of horror, and I think Korean horror is up there too. So I think the collaboration between the two was inevitable to happen, for sure.
And actually, these collaborations between Korean and other Asian countries are not new. It's been going on. So what is the most significant difference between past collaboration attempts and the current ones that's going on right now?
Well, past collaborations have mostly been I wouldn't say like co-productions. It would be like the movie Medium by Na Hang-jin. He actually, you know, it's a Korean movie, but he had a Vietnamese director, a famous director, direct the movie. So it was really sort of, it was generated by Korea itself and not so much as a collaboration. And there have been sort of productions like this in the past where a Korean director would go over there to make a movie, and they've found it like censorship issues and a lot of things like that. So I think now the trend is changing where both countries are now sort of fully collaborating together from the starting, you know, so like Bye Barista or, you know, Leaving Mom. These are movies that basically from the inception of the movie to the final, you know, production and the end results of the distribution are being done together by the two countries partnering up. Yeah.
And Professor So, Korea and Southeast Asia have different cultures. They probably also have different production methods. So are there any difficulties that need to be overcome when having these joint projects, or is there actually more synergy because of these differences? And one more question adding up to that, what is different when compared to the collaboration Korea has with US or European countries when compared to Southeast Asian nations?
Well, when it comes to production, I have to say, because I teach film at a university, I studied film in the US. So, you know, basically we're teaching sort of Hollywood-style production techniques in Korea. But Korea traditionally has sort of the production working methods are Japanese, because our cinema started basically, you know, in 1900s under Japanese occupation. So we have both American and Japanese sort of style of filmmaking. I would say Vietnam has sort of like influenced more by like French production because it was a colony of the French at one point. And Thailand has a lot of British sort of influences. So the differences in styles are definitely there. But what I found, it's interesting is, but still, even though I've actually, you know, hosted students from America to make films with Korean students, but the same thing must happen in the professional realm as well. It's like, there's a camaraderie between Asians, you know, and I think our cultures, even though, you know, we consume a lot of American sort of, you know, content, I think at the same time, I don't know if you know, like Vietnamese people are very Confucius societies, just like Korea is. So our value system is very similar. So even though our production methods are different, I think the sort of the difficulties are quickly done when you're making a movie because you have a purpose. You have to try to do this as cheaply and quickly as possible. And when you make a movie in Southeast Asia, actually it's an advantage to do that, for sure.
Oh, I see. And I'm sure when it comes to these collaborations between countries, there are going to be pros and cons. So what are some of the risks or key points that kind of happen within the actual production process?
Well, the first thing I want to mention is just the actual collaboration in terms of money. In past with countries, I'm not going to mention, where, you know, the money have exchanged hands, but the Korean producer really didn't get the full profit of it, things like that. So you have to really have those risks kind of taken care of before you get it. But now it seems like because we have ASEAN and all these different policies in place where the government's overseeing that, less of that. But I think the advantage I told you was about like basically in Vietnam or Thailand, you can actually shoot longer hours than Korea. Right now, by Korean law, you can only shoot 12 hours a day with an hour for, you know, lunch or something like that. In the other countries don't have those rules. So basically, productions are going over time. People are shooting like close to like 17, 18 hours a day. So there's the fatigue factor that we used to have in Korea as well. So you have that. So it's good for producers, but at the same time, the risk is there for, you know, the actors get tired. There could be accidents. Also, if there's stunts, there are things like that, you know, basically, if you don't do it correctly, you know, those problems could actually like hamper the production more than help it. Yeah.
And finally, Professor So, which other Southeast Asian country would you want to see Korea work with, and on what kind of film?
Well, you know, Vietnam and Thailand, we're really like on the forefront of like doing a lot of collaboration. I would say, it's one of my favorite countries. So Indonesia or Malaysia. I think those two countries are similar in the sense that they're mostly Muslim countries. So in that way, they differ with us. But at the same time, there's a population of Indonesia is like 278 million people. And when I would go to the Busan Fantastic Film Festival, I'd meet some of the filmmakers, and they told me that basically they love Korean cinema, they love K-pop, K-dramas. You know, Korean content is consumed very, you know, by the masses in Indonesia. So I think we have to start making movies there and sort of collaborating with the talent there. And the gentleman that I met at PFAN was actually a famous actor from Indonesia. He spoke perfect English, and he was saying that, you know, the cost of making a feature is so small compared to what it is in Korea. So I think it should attract a lot of producers from Korea. So I'm hoping that those are the sort of the countries that will do more collaborations with in the future.
Indonesia and Malaysia. And I think, if I'm correct, Indonesia in recent studies was actually the country that consumed the most of K content. So I guess it makes sense. And yes, thank you very much, Professor So, as always, for your insights, and have a great weekend.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Professor.
Have a great weekend.
Thank you. And thank you, Bella, as always. We're going to see you here back next week.
Yes, I'll see you back next week.
Thank you for spending the past half an hour with us on the Culture Wave. Hope you have a culture-filled weekend, and we'll be back next week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Korea time.